Was going to start at 20 past, but actually the hall is chock-a-block and we can't get any more people in, and my speakers are here, and so it seems to make sense to get started and we can get more questions and we can get more information from these people. So we had a really good session just before the break, and for those of you who were with us, thank you for that. And this session should be equally as interesting. And I'm delighted to kick off with a very, very good friend of mine who's the Schools Commissioner from the Department for Education, Liz Sidwell. And Liz also led on one of the early academies and indeed one of the earlier groups of academies. So I'm delighted to welcome Liz to the stage. Would you welcome Liz Sidwell, please?
Well, good morning, everybody. It's lovely to be here, and I'm really grateful for the invitation to speak to you all. Make sure that that's low enough for me. And also really grateful that so many of you have come. You know, it's brilliant to be speaking to a packed hall. I'm really sorry that everybody isn't able to sit down, but thank you for being interested and wanting to hear what we've got to say. I've been looking forward to today because we've been talking about it at the department, the Academies Show, but also because I'm a convert to Twitter, and there's been quite a bit on Twitter about the Academies Show and who's speaking. So it's something that's been in my calendar and something I've been looking forward to. So I hope you enjoy it, and as much as me and my team are going to, I know. Right, well, first of all, if you bear with me, I'd just like to take you back to 2005, which was a very important time for me. I was running Haberdashers' Aske's Hatcham College, which was an early academy, had been a CTC in Lewisham. And on a particular day in 2005, I was visiting another school in Lewisham called Mallory School. And faced multiple challenges, Mallory, and was bottom of the league table, couldn't fill its role, really facing a lot of challenge. And I visited the school, drove in, worried a bit about my car, you know, but got through the gates, and was walking around the school, and a few year 10s came up to me, as year 10s tend to do, and said, "What are you doing, miss? Why are you here?" And I said, "Well, because I really want to work with this school, and I thought it might like to join my group, my Haberdashers group." And this one girl said to me, "Miss, you don't want us, we're rubbish." And I have never forgotten that. And of course, immediately, I did want them. I wanted them anyway, you know, they're kids. It's a school. They deserve everything that all of us can give. So that was important for me. We did work with the school, it came into our group, and with everybody working together, that school now is on a very good pathway, well over 50%, from single figures, 50%, getting 5 A to C with English and maths and doing well. So that girl and her friends, the cycle of deprivation was broken, she did achieve, and so did others. And that was because of a lot of us getting together and working together. So that was a very important moment for me. Right, this morning then, I just want to talk a little bit about why that girl felt like that, why we are worried about that, and then go on a bit to what I've done, what we're doing, and how we can all work together and help. So let's look then at some of the problems that some of our children face today, and some stats. Now, if by age 7 you're in deficit, something's gone wrong, children on free school meals, are behind. This is too early, this can't be, this is not right, and it goes on as you see on that slide. Right through Key Stage 2, GCSE, and even through to access to university. A positive correlation between a child on free school meals and not achieving at university. Nothing to do with your brain power. And that's something that I'm ashamed of, that we should all be ashamed of, and that is why we're all here, packed in the hall, packed in this place, working in our schools to break that cycle, to make sure that those stats never come up again. Right, now, we all know that children can overcome things. They have to be resilient, we have to help them. Who's going to help them? It is the schools, isn't it? All of you, it's us together helping them. Of course it's their families, of course it's society. But we can really help them to be resilient. We can make them feel confident. We can make them proud of their school. And never have a child who believes that he or she has drawn such a short straw that there is no hope and just accept that. That can never be. And so it's us helping children to overcome the problems that they have and working from the base of our schools. Now, what I did was in the early days, which is what so many people are doing now, better, more, and it's great to see this academy movement and how it's grown. But it was from Haberdashers' Ask Hatcham College in those early days in New Cross that I started, took over that school, and I moved from the private independent sector to the state independent sector, and never looked back. Not that I don't want to work with independent private schools, of course I do. I work with any schools and respect every type of school. But I never looked back and worked with Hatcham College, took on Knights Academy, which was Mallory School, the one I mentioned earlier. Did well, oversubscribed, children achieving, didn't matter what their background was. We proved then, as you've all proved and we've all proved lately, you can do it if you have ambition for these children. But then I realized, and it's these things that you realize as you go through your work and working with children and so on, that actually it was primary. I was a secondary specialist, but it was primary that was so important. That is where you make the difference. That is where we should focus. That is what is so important in a child's life, to have a really fantastic and strong primary experience. If primary's right, the secondaries can take that forward, we can future-proof the secondary system. So in 2008, there was a primary school in Deptford, again struggling, and I talked with the local authority and we agreed and brought it into my group. Now that was difficult. That was the first primary coming into a secondary grouping. And everybody said to me, Liz, what do you know about primary? And I didn't know a lot at all. I knew how to run a school, but not a primary school. And we brought in primary specialists, learnt about primary. Now, today, the chains, the groups, they recognize the importance of the primary specialists, secondary specialists, and how you work together. But that was early days, and we had to get over some difficulties, but we did. And established 2 more primaries, indeed, in the chain, and all through schools. Something that I really believe in, actually. Let's smooth that journey for the children. Let's work on that transition between primary and secondary. But it's not the only way. You know, what we're keen on is diversity, what works, what breaks that chain of deprivation and problem for children. Okay, then what happened to me a year ago, or just over a year ago? I was driving back from a family do. It was a Sunday night, checked my voicemail, Michael Gove, leaving me a message, Liz, ring me back. Now, you know, as heads, I thought, oh, I bet they want to do a visit, and now I'll have to reorganise tomorrow. You know, that's what you always think, you know, you have to get it all right for Monday. But it wasn't that. He just said, when I listened to the message, Liz, would you like a job? You know, well, actually, it wasn't when I listened to the message, it was when I phoned him back. Would you like a job? The funny thing was, he also said, just hold on, someone's at the door, and, you know, it was quite a nice chat like that. But, yes, of course I wanted a job. Schools Commissioner for England, wow. You know, what does that mean? Secretary of State, what is that? That's tackling underperformance across England. Fine, you know. Is it full-time, I said, because you always ask a stupid question, don't you, really? And he said 4.5 days a week, and that was a bit of a fib, really, because it's 5.5, but it's the most brilliant job. And I, therefore, look outside. I feel it's a strong external role, championing academies and the programme, believing in children and schools, and I visit a lot of schools. It's just as well I was head of geography once, because I'm north, south, east, west, you know, going all over the place. Brilliant. But I also have at the department the Office of the Schools Commissioner, the OSC, which I hope you know. Great group of officials and sponsor brokers working together to make the academy programme really go well. And our particular job is to establish, develop, look after sponsors. Now, sponsors aren't these rich people. Sponsors are the people that will take accountability for a school, take responsibility for a school, be accountable. They may be all sorts of organisations, especially you, especially heads and schools. So we look after and are really developing the sponsor side, and I think that's the quality control side of the academy programme. If Dominic, who you heard earlier, has got lots of schools, he needs to broker his academies, he needs good sponsors. My group, OSC, making sure of that. We also have what I call the accident and emergency kind of wing. When they are academies, and we've got about 300 plus sponsored academies and, you know, nearly 800, 900 converters, they can, you know, something can go wrong. And so then I have a team who goes in and says, well, right, what are we going to do about this? Because we won't, you know, we're not going to leave failure or problems for children if they're in academies or anywhere else. So I do have a group working with me, a really strong group of officials and ex-HMIs, monitoring academies once they are there to make sure they are delivering for children, because children are what I care about, and that's what I know you all care about too. So that's the OSC, the Office of the Schools Commissioner, and I've said to them, if the schools are supposed to be outstanding, you've got to be outstanding, I've got to be outstanding. And, you know, they've got to deal well with you, because it's not easy dealing with the department, because I tried that for 20 years, and it's so big. But the OSC is not so big. We're a small, crack team. You can always get in touch with us, and we will put you in the right place, I hope. So let's just have a look at a quick things, because I bet you they're going to move me on in a minute. You know, we've got some good results from academies driving up standards, so I'm really pleased about that. It's the core of the thing. If it doesn't work, then why do it? It's not just the structural change, it's the people, it's the freedom, it's the collaboration. As I've said, it's a great privilege to be Schools Commissioner, and I insist on visiting schools every week. And this was one, but I've visited 50 plus just in the first year, and I'm well into my second year now. But this was Victory in Norwich, Rachel D'Souza, and taking on a school 30-odd%, getting 5 or more now. 68%, well into the 70s, she reckons, this year. Why? Because she has sky-high ambition for those children. And that's what you need. They need confidence that they can do it. And with us, they can, all of you. So Rachel, wonderful with her children. I want to do another one. Another one there, St. Joseph Williamson's Maths School. Well, it's Gary Holden who's the head there, taken on the 100 of Who, difficult school. So he's a sponsor of another school. the thing that he's proved, that I proved, that all of us who are doing this sponsorship, not with money, but with our expertise, taking on and working with another school, is that your own school does better. The 100 of who and the maths school, when they first time together, both the results went up, not just the one, because it does so much in CPD terms for staff. We can tell you more about that. So, those are two. There are so many I could mention, and so many that I'm so proud to have visited and worked with. Anyway, now I think you've probably heard from Dominic that we've got many academies open now, and let's just look at some of the chains that are doing well. So I think you've heard of ULT, ARC, Harris and Oasis, but again, and Ormiston there, again, just some of many who are doing really well in big groups. We've got 1,800 academies open now. Half of secondary schools you've heard are now academies. Smaller number of primaries. And I want to work much more with primaries because of the importance of primary. See how we can develop that primary expertise and help them to do what they want to do and what's right for their children. We've got 1,300 underperforming primaries still at the moment. So it is a big task. And when I talk to primary heads and heads of outstanding primary schools, they tell me something that really bothers me, that the children coming in at 5 are coming in less and less ready for school. You know, still problems with toilet training, problems with speech, problems with sitting down. And that's why I was, a couple of weeks ago, just agreeing with Frank Field about this idea of what can we do with these very young children to help them? How can we help parents? I want to work with parents. I want to work with you, but I want to work with parents as well. How can they help the school? How can they help the child to make sure that we can do our job? So I want to bring them in. Sometimes secondaries don't work so well with parents, but primaries usually do. Let's try and make that even better. So that's a big passion for me, to work more with parents. And I had this Frank Field idea of 5 a day. You know, what is the 5 a day that a parent must do with a young child? And we can discuss that, of course. I'm on orange now, and I know I'm going to get told to stop any second, so I shall just press on fairly quickly and say that we welcome all sorts of people who want to be sponsors, whether it's businessmen, FE colleges and women, FE colleges, whatever, universities, grammar schools, but the main bulk of our sponsor group should be the schools, and indeed is the schools, and so that's why we're talking to you. And it's not about money, as I've said, it's about expertise, about your staff and the staff in the other school working together and all the children working together. We want to have primary chains and groups, I'm on red now, as well as mixed secondary and primary groups. So it's, ladies and gentlemen, I want to work with you, I want to come and visit you, I want you to email me and ensure that I do a good job over these couple of years that I have seemed to have got doing this fantastic work with all of you. So thank you very much. Before it starts flashing red, I'm going to stop. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Liz. And we're going to move on now to Emma.